our presenter today, who is Dr. Pei-Sung Lin. Dr. Pei-Sung Lin has more than 23 years of work and research experience in traffic impact studies, internal trip capture analyses, mobility fee studies, traffic signal systems, traffic operations, pedestrian and bicycle safety, and motorcycle safety. Before Dr. Lin joined Qatar, he worked for Sarasota County, Florida, responsible for reviewing traffic impact studies, managing traffic signal systems, alleviating traffic congestion and safety problems, and developing ITS projects. At Qatar, Dr. Lin has managed more than 90 research projects in various transportation-related areas. He has published more than 150 journal papers, conference papers, final reports, and technical articles. He is an executive member of the ITE M&O ITS Council and chairs the ITE Intelligent Traffic Signal Operations Committee. Currently, he also serves as the president of the International Chinese Transportation Professionals Association. And with that, I am going to turn things over to Dr. Pei-Sung Lin. Dr. Lin, are you there? Seems like you might be muted. If you want to unmute yourself, we can hear you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you for taking this opportunity and also take your time to participate in this webcast. And the topic is the internal trip capture for mixed-use development. This is a topic I think I know everybody seems very interested in that. And this is also a difficult subject, but I think it's very interesting. And we just finished a project sponsored by Florida Department of Transportation. And so I would like to take this opportunity to share that with you. Next slide, please. Very quickly, just to show you who participate in this research project. And so we got several team members from Qatar here, and also from TTI, Texas A&M University. And of course, our manager, Gina Boyani and Gary Sakolo. Next slide, please. Okay, so here is our the outline for today's presentation. I will first give you a quick project background. Then we are going to talk about the trip generation and internal trip capture concept, because this is the important part of the study, and we'll try to take this opportunity to explain that in a little bit details. After that, we go to focus on the Qatar study site, and we have 4 different sites. And so we're going to tell you a little bit more on each site, and also the information we get from each site. And okay, so after we discuss that, and we're going to discuss the results and also the discussion and finding, and finally we will conclude the study and provide a recommendation. Next, please. Okay, so we start with the internal trip capture for mixed-use development. Next, please. Okay, the project background. As we know that the mixed development has become more and more popular, and as you see that we have urban sprawl problems throughout the country. And so more and more focus start to try to have more compact developments, and that will help reduce the number of vehicle trips on our roadway network. And secondly is that, but in order to have a good understanding about how the trip generation from the mixed developments, we need to have more accurate data and also the methodology in order to do that. And nationwide, very recently, we got a NCHRP 684 report come out. And we also have the EPA study and the spreadsheet to help us to estimate the internal capture for mixed developments. And in my presentation today, and we will focus more on the methodology provided by NCHRP and pretty much originally based on the ITE, the internal capture methodologies. And finally, I'd like to really appreciate the DOT to sponsor this research. And this research will really can help to improve accuracy of the tree internalization estimation and also help the development review process. Next, please. And here I list 3 different definitions of the mixed-use development, or called multi-use development. And the first one is based on the Urban Land Institute, and second one based on the NCHRP, and the last one is based on the ITE. And so from here you can see pretty much the mixed development is at least a development with 2 or even more IT land use, and this between these land uses, there's a complementary and interaction between the land uses. Okay, next, please. And so first we talk about the tree generation methodologies. And it really depends on what type of development or what type of size, where's the land located, and there may be several ways we can do that. And so here I list several of them. We got the IT rate, and based on the single land use freestanding site. And we also have a second one, like urban infill rates, and for development such as the infill development in downtown area. And the third one here is internal tree capture rate, and this is the one we're going to focus on. And we also have the community capture, that's for a very large scope and area, or small city or town. And the last one is the analytical methods. And something like user regression or travel demand modeling or consensus or census data, and you can use those to develop a method to estimate the internal tree capture. And today's our focus will be on internal tree capture rate, the third one here. Next, please. So first, let's talk about the IT tree generation rate, the pros and cons. And of course, the advantage is that it's very simple to use, and also can reproduce the same results with the same input. No requirement of special equipment or software, and widely accepted, and we use this a lot. And of course, the disadvantage is that there's a limited explanatory power, and also a lot of data has been, especially the internal tree capture data we have is very limited, and most of them was collected long time ago. And so throughout these years, there's a lot of change. So how can we have a more accurate and the tools for everybody to use, be able to better and accurately the estimate the internal tree capture, and that's very important, and that's why this study will help that. Next, please. So here I like to show you about the tree, the mixed development. As you can see, on the bottom here, we got single-use freestanding cotton count here. And so in the past, when we got a lot of development, they stand alone by themselves, and there are not much interaction within the development itself. But gradually, we start to see more and more mixed developments. And that means a development with many different type of land uses, such as retail, the office, the movie theater, the residential, and they're all within the same developments. As you can see on the upper picture here. And the internal capture is try to reflect how many trips is internally is among the development itself, and that's really the one very important for the development review process. Next, please. And so this slide seems a little bit complex, but however, I think the basic concept is try to show you that during our the internal tree capture analysis, and in the past we use the ITE. If we use the tree generation, the handbook, the second edition, and we have the table 7.1, 7.2. And we use the table there. They tell you the origin, destination, how many trips from origin to destination, and how many trips you can receive. And so we got a table there, and they show you the percentage. And so in this example, like here, the table we got on-country internal trip capture, and for outbound and for inbound. And so in this case, as you can see that here, if we based on this, just an example, if we know this outbound trip, for example, this is origin, and we got 500 the outbound trip, and based on the table in IT, the table 7.1, 7.2, for example, if they show you there are 31% is go from office to retail, so we got 31%. But on the other hand, if you look at from destination side, and they only say only the mass market can receive 2%, and then we found the 2% is A, but it's 155. Of course, this is a little bit extreme here, but basic concept is at the end we say only A trip will be able to go because they only can receive 8 from the retail. So basically, this is a basic concept about in the past we used the table and in the IT 7.1, 7.2, and that's based on 3 land uses, and based on that we got a percentage. We use that table, and so we figure out how many trips actually from land use to the other. And so today we're going to base on this basic concept, and the purpose of this study really focus on how can we improve the unconstrained internal tree capture rate, because the one based on ITE, that's based on very limited, only 3 developments. The data collected back to early 1990, and then later on the NCHRP, the report just came out in 2011, and that report add another 3 sites, and so we're going to and this study is going to expand that. Okay, so in this slide, let's look at on the right side. So on the right side here, we conduct traffic analysis. So a lot of time, that's why for most people we use here based on particular the data from particular site, and we apply the internal capture rate. Then we'll do the calculation, and we figure out the tree generation for the mixed developments. But today, in order to improve the internal capture rate, we need to go to see on the left side. So this is the one we focus on, and going to show you more about how we do it. And the focus here, I just want to mention the major data we need to collect is the door counts for particular establishment in that developments, also the interview data and the codon counts Holden count is the number of vehicles in and out of that particular development. And we also want to know the mall split, how many people go in or out the site, use the vehicle, how many people walk, and how many people take the transit or other modes. And also we need to know the land use inventory, and basically that's the one, because when we do a study, we want to we need to choose a site is pretty much mature, so pretty much for the 90% occupied. So that have a good representation of that site. Next slide, please. Okay, so now we move a little bit back, talk about we talked about the ITE methods earlier, and now we move a little bit to the NCHRP, the report 684. And this report basically is trying to improve the land use category in table 7.17.2 in the IT tree generation handbook. And the report, the study expand from 3 land use to 6 land use. And the study also add the proximity factors, and that to help more accurately estimate the internal tree catcher. And the proximity factor is the one that used for a large development, because from the study they found out when the development is large, and the tree internal catcher rate will decline because of the distance. So they develop a reduction factor and to account for that. Okay, next please. The next, this is the one from the NCHRP report, and basically this is outline the process of conduct the internal tree catcher analysis. And I just like to quickly go through this. First, we need to determine what kind of methodology we should use. We talked about several different rates earlier, so it really depends on the size and the nature of the development, and planner engineer, you will choose the proper one. And once you decide that, the second one you need to decide is you need to get it, what's the scope of your site, what's the boundary, and what's the characteristic of the development, and what are those land use within them. And the third step is to estimate single-use tree generation for each one within that development. And number 4, and this one I particularly highlight because this is the one used on constraint internal capture percentage to estimate the number of potential trips between each pair of land use. And because this is very important, this is the one we used before. And since the information on this particular information is very limited, that's why this study is trying to improve that. And the step 5 is the one I just showed you earlier. Once you have it from origin to destination, you have outbound trip, you have inbound trip. So step 5 is to balance that, because from number 4 you got unconstrained internal capture, and you have how much trip get out from one land use, and the other one how many you can receive. And step 5 here is basically choose a minimum, because that's the one the minimum is the number we choose, because that will represent the tree actually can go from one land use to the other. And finally, the last step is once you got all the land use in and inbound, outbound, when you got all those information, then you will be able to figure out how many internal trips and how many external trips, and how many the total number of trips for that development. Then we'll be able to come out with the internal capture rate. So this is the basic step for that. And the next I have to talk about is the data collection process, and that's the focus on particularly study, and how do we conduct the data collection. And here is a lot of process from the initial site visit and to have a plan to collect the data. and also validation the visits and make sure the information, the plan, everything will be available and also can be used for our training. And the next one is the study preparation. And I especially highlight the personnel roles, because usually this type of study, we need to have a lot of people and to go out to collect the data at the same time. And so that's why it's not that easy. And a lot of time we have 30, 40 people go out at the same time. And everybody play a pretty important role in this process. So the training, find the right person and give a good training is very important. And the last step here, when we say perform study, and this one is the on-site. So we need to have supervisor, because when we have so many people go out, and we really need to able to provide the support and also make sure all the data collection follow the procedures. And one thing I want to mention is the first one actually highlight on right here, obtain permission, because this is a very critical. And if anything can be delayed, this is the major reason of delay, because we need to you cannot just go to the site to do a data collection. You need to get permission from first you may want to get permission from the management company who own the site or manage the site. And you also need to get permission from more individual establishment in that development. And so this is very critical, and we got a lot of experience with that, but if someone interested in to collect the data in the future, we are very willing to share with you our experience on that. Next, please. Next slide, please. Okay, so among them, I'd like to particularly emphasize on the AZ interview. And this basically is a very important part of our study. But the question actually is very simple. We would basically here you got the origin, destination, and between the land use. For example, here we got from the left side to the right side, and we're going to stand in on particular development land use, and within the development, and we're going to have our crew to ask people when they get out and to see where were you before. So we want to know, you came from outside, or you came from another land use within the developments. And then another question is, where are you heading now? Means, are you going after you live here? You live Walmart, or you live particular retail? Are you going to another restaurant within here, or you're just going out? So that's the basic information, and that information is very crucial to determine how many internal trips we can get. Next, please. Okay, so since it's got a lot of information here, but this actually is a very crucial part of understand this study. And I just want to take one example here. For example, this is the retail. So that's we go to a particular site, a particular development, and we look at the retail. Just look at a particular land use. And in this case, we got 500,000 square feet. And so we're going to conduct some survey on the people. However, because it's so large, you not be able to conduct a survey on all the store in the retail. And so let's say we choose part of that. We got 250,000 square feet, and this is what we conduct. And so from those stores, we do two things. One is we have our crew to see how many people out from those stores we did a study, and how many people get in, how many people get out. So, for example, 600 people getting out. And for those people getting out, then we conduct a survey. But very similarly, we will not be able to ask every person, and also the people may not willing to do a survey. So in this case, let's say we conduct 60 interviews. So from this 60 interview, we found out 38 they are going out of the development, and 12 they go to the residential within the same development, and another 10 they go to the office. So from that, we got 38, we got 12, we got 10. Since this is a sample, so from the sample, we got an expansion factor here, because total the retail is 500,000 square feet. We only do 250, so we need to expand that to 2. And amongst 360 people getting out, we only do 60 people on the interview. So you expand that. So from this process, you figure out 456 trip is from the retail to they go out, and 12 they go to the restaurant. 12 go to residential, and then 144 go to the residential, and 120 go to office. So you figure out all this. So this is, when you add together, you know how many total. That's a 700 total from the retail they're getting out, and you also know individual. 144 go to residential, 120 go to office, 456 go to they go out of the development. So from here, you'll be able to figure out the percentage. And because this is very important, because this slide, I hope it's clearly explained about how we come up with the percentage. And from here, you will see, you will follow the same procedure for each individual land use within the same development. Next, please. Okay, so here, as you can see that, so we follow the same process. For example, the retail one, I used the previous one as example. So we can do that. So we'll be able to figure out the residential depending on how many land use within a development. So we'll figure out everything. So this will be all the personal trip distribution, for example, PMP period. And then we can convert that to percentage as a rate. So we'll be able to come out with that particular developments. And we can follow the same process, the one I just mentioned on previous slides. So we can come out with all those. Okay, next please. Okay, with that understanding of how we conduct the data collection and how to compute the internal capture tree between different land uses and the percentage. Now we're going to look at the four study side we did from this study. Next, please. So the first one is Creekwood. And Creekwood is a suburban development with a single-family detached residential units, and so the residential is on the back, and they have the front commercial in the front. Next, please. Yeah, so as you can see, the front is the commercial, and the residential is behind. And this is the couple picture, give you an idea. And we also have the land use information here, the size, the units. Next, please. Yeah, so follow the concept I explained earlier, and we'll be able to come out with from the outbound perspective, from the inbound perspective, and this is for the PM peak hour, and we'll be able to come out with the internal capture rate between the land uses, also the final internal capture rate. And so as you can see, the internal capture rate here for different land use, and also you got a final total outbound internal capture rate. And the table below here is for the inbound trips. Next, please. The second slide is Sodo, and Sodo is a compact development with a mid-rise residential medical office, and also we have a big box. There's a target there, and we also have a variety of ground floor retail and restaurants. Next slide, please. Yeah, here give you an idea. The major retailer here, this is Target, and we have the mid-rise residential here, and we also have a restaurant drive-through and bank. And so this is to give you an idea about how it look like in this development. And we also got the land use information. Next, please. And this is the results from the SODO and similarly from Creewood, and we'll be able to come out with the information for outbound and for inbound and between different land uses. And we also have the total outbound internal capture and the total inbound internal capture. Next, please. And this is for the Lakeside Village. And Lakeside Village is located in Lakeland. They got a lifestyle center and with open shopping mall and with a movie theater, hotels, and also have connection to the apartment complex. Next slide, please. Okay, so here, as you can see, this is the developments. And there's the apartment here, and there's a connection between the commercial area, retail restaurant with residential, and we also have movie theater here. Next, please. And similarly, we also got the outbound and inbound, the internal capture rate between land uses, and also have the total outbound internal capture and inbound internal capture rate. Next, please. And the last site in our study is the Uptown Edmond, and this is the one located in the north of Orlando area. And this site combine the existing residential hotel and shopping center with a new residential and retail town center, as you can see here. Next, please. Yeah, this is a better view about these developments and also the land use information. Next, please. Okay, so look at the residential, office, retail, and hotel. So this just a couple pictures for your references. Next, please. Very similarly, we also got the internal capture rate for all of them. Next, please. So overall, this is a summary of each individual developments, and as you can see that we summarize with the AM peak hour and PM peak hour, the inbound, outbound, and the total. And for the PM, we also have inbound, we have outbound, we also have the total internal capture. So as you can see, for the AM peak hour, the range from 9-14% here, and for the PM peak hour from 13 to 16%. Next, please. And we also look at all other sites. The FTOT Tim Oliver study back to 1993, and this three sites is the internal capture rate has been used by IT for a long time, and most recently NCHRP also look at three bigger sites, Atlantic Station, that's in Atlanta, and the Marketplace Station and Legacy Town Center. These two sites is in Texas. And in additionally, we also look at some FTOT District 2 study and for our references. Next, please. Okay, so I think very importantly is we know the process, we know the study we did, and so what's the results and what can we learn from that? And really, the most important thing that we came out from the study is to be able to update this. Actually, this is a very big table, and we list all the different sites. And here, because earlier we talked about the unconstrained internal capture rate, and so at the very beginning, the ITE is based on only 3 sites, and after the NCA HRP, add another 3 sites to this table. In this study, we look at the 4 sites, so we'll be able to contribute to this big table, and this table is the one everybody eventually use for the internal tree capture computation. And so the one highlight with the board is the one actually is used, because since this is unconstrained internal capture rate, so you try to choose the maximum number, and so the one I highlight is the one from this study. And some of them on board is the one. Next slide, please. And so this is covers 6 different land uses, and so from this study we also contribute to the revision of this table. Next, please. So we just talked about those previous 2 slides is for the PM peak hour, the outbound, and the one on this slide and the next slide is the one for the unconstrained internal trip capture percentage for the inbound trip for PM peak hour. Next slide, please. Yeah, so this really is the very important part of this study. Try to produce and expand this unconstrained internal tree capture percentages. Next, please. So with the information we have above, and those 4 actually is 2 big tables, and based on those, we'll be able to produce to this table, and all the number here is get from the one I just showed you, those 2 bit unconstrained internal tree capture table, and so we'll be able to update or revise or suggest revision of this table, and so everybody can use this table with more accurate information and data to support your study. Next, please. So we got the outbound one, and this slide is for the inbound. So we got unconstrained internal capture rate for the outbound, also for the inbound. Next, please. And another thing quickly mention here is because we mentioned earlier about the proximity factor produced or provided by the NCHRP study, and so basically in this, just quickly show you one example. For example, during peak hour, and you come out with the unconstrained internal capture rate, let's say 14%. But if particular study you look at NCHRP, they suggest you should use the adjustment factor of 0.847, then you can multiply that, and you got 11.9%, and this is the one you're going to use instead of 14% if the development is very large. Next, please. So we talk about the one we propose. So how effective is this new methods and the new data set and the new unconstrained internal capture rate tables? And so we conduct a series of studies, and we also compare different methods we mentioned before, and including the ITE one, NCHRP with proximity, and also with the NCHRP data, plus DOT data, the one we studied, and without proximity, also with proximity, to see how compare those, to see how accurate we can estimate the internal tree capture and the total tree generated from the mixed development. Next, please. So this is a comparison. So we use a totally 9 different sites for this comparison purpose, and we also tried 6 different methods. And the last two one on each column here, this is based on the NCHRP plus DOT data, and also NCHRP DOT with proximities. And so here give you the visual about the comparison, but next I will show you on the from the numerical perspective. Next, please. So from here, basically the one I highlight here. So with a new unconstrained internal tree capture table, we found out with this nice site, 5 of them we got a better prediction about the internal tree capture and also the total tree generation for mixed use developments. And so we got 5 sites, we got better results. 1 site we got tied with NCHRP. And as far as when should you use a proximity factor, and we also have some finding here. If the site less than 43 acres, you don't need to use proximity factor, but it's more than 71 acre or larger, and we suggest you to use that. And based on this study, if we follow that process, you can get about 78% accuracy. So that also helps to for user to determine when should you use proximity factor. Next, please. Next, please. Okay, so very end here, this is the conclusion from this study. So first is the minimum data collection. What you need is the minimum you need the dot counts and also the interview for origin and the destination location. And the second one is based on our study that for the PM peak hour, the internal tree capture rate is about 13 to 16%, and that's for PM, and for AM peak hour is 9 to 14%. And this study verify the NCHRP enhance the internal tree capture methods. And these two, the one I highlight is the one I just mentioned earlier, that this combined data set approach can provide a better estimate about the internal tree capture rate, and also have better estimate about the internal trees generated from the mixed developments. Yeah, and this research produced a revised unconstrained internal tree capture rate, and this is a really, I would say, one of major contribution for this study. Next. And this research also contribute collected data also for the PM peak hours. The next one also mentioned about the 43 acre and 71 acres, and so that's for you to determine when you use a proximity factor or not. And the next one is also try to document based on the count we have on those unconstrained internal tree capture table for the PM peak, the inbound trip, and this study contributed 30% of that table. And for the PM peak hour, we also contribute another 30% of that. Next, please. So we encourage more study, and so we can continue to expand to have more robust, comprehensive internal tree capture and more land use for people to use. And as far as proximity factor, we recommend maybe 55 acre is the threshold to determine either use it or not use it. And finally is that the proximity factor is more on within the land use within the development. So we also recommend that if there's a further study and we can see if there's a similar type of land use just outside the development, we can also study how those similar land use will affect the internal tree capture. And so this is a recommendation for people that are interested in this for future studies. Okay, so this concludes my presentation. And if you got any question, you are welcome to send to us, and we'd like to answer you.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Lin. Just as a refresher to everyone, in order to ask questions at the top, you click on Q&A, type your question or comment, click on Ask to submit your questions, and then we will ask those to Dr. Lin. And we've actually already got a few questions. So, Dr. Lin, the first one is, Are there any recommended minimum number of surveys in the NCHRP report to make your studies systematically significant?
Yeah, for the survey, of course, I think more survey is better, and of course, there's a depending on the resource we have, and on certain side we will be able to get more survey, and of course, we got different land uses, and so we will say at least you need to have a 30 or more, but more is the one you can get more survey that provide more accurate and statistically significance. But in some occasion, for example, when we do the AM survey, and sometimes, as you know, during the AM peak hour, and the number of people is limited, and some of them we don't have a lot of people from particular land use, and so we either can extend the time for the survey to get at least to the number we like, but of course more is better.
Okay, great. Another question that's come in is, are banks included within the overall retail use for a site?
That's a good question. Yeah, in this case, the bank is included as in the retail category. But as I mentioned that, and if possible, that's why if we can treat that as a separate land use, and in certain things, some of the bank, their behavior is similar like retail, and because also in the retail category, they also have a lot of different type of retailers, and so it's really the judgment about how you're going to choose the really typical for that. For example, the gas station, it can behave totally differently. And so that's really, sometimes you really want to separate them as a different category. And so this study, basically, we expand to 6 land use if we do the best we can. But that's a very good question. In this case, yes, bank is included as part of retailer. But if possible, you can separate them. You may be able to get more information in the future to provide good information for particular like bank.
Okay, great. Next question that's come in. What, if any, were some issues with the data collected, and how reliable were they?
Could you repeat the first part of the question?
Sure. They're wanting to know if you had any issues with the data collected, or maybe with the data collection. This might be.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah, the data collection is really, as I mentioned earlier, it's very complex, and due to the obtained permission and the complex of the site, and of course one thing we try to avoid, if there's a road pass through the developments, and so you may have other through traffic that just cut through the development, and that can cause a lot of data collection potential issues, and so that's one we try to make sure we take care of that. Also the training of people, because a lot of time, in order to conduct a study like this, most time we need to rely on hiring the temporary agency personnel to help, but sometimes they may not show up. For example, they say we're going to have 25 people, and they may end up with only show 15 people. And so how reliable is the data? And since we know it can happen, so a lot of time we try to recruit more people, and because we know some people will not show up, and also you need to have some backup plan, and also the supervision is very important. Yeah, so it could be some potential issue. For example, we got a 4 site. But when I show the final comparison, I didn't show you 10 sites. Supposedly we should have 10 sites. Because the last site when we conduct the cordon counts, and we found out some data on the through traffic, because last time we got through traffic, and we will not be able to get very accurate on that through traffic. And so that's why I didn't include the last site on the final comparison. Yeah, so it could be some potential issue, but from the experience we have, and we try to minimize that, and some of them you may need to go there and again try to make sure if something missing and to make sure the completeness of the data sets.
Okay. Another question is, did you consider the role of transit and carpool rates on vehicle trips?
Yes. Yeah. In this particular study, we do have collected information on the mode, because we also ask them like what type of transportation do they use, and in our study, in our final report, we do show a lot of detailed information for different modes. And of course, in here, majority of the trip is conducted by vehicles. So most people use vehicle, but we do have people walk, and we do have people take the transit and bicycle, and some of them even use motorcycle.
Okay, great. And a second part to that question is, did you calculate person trip changes?
What do you mean the person trip changes?
Okay. I'll have to ask the question.
Okay.
The person asked the question.
Yeah. So as you know that because during our study, when we start with unconstrained table, when we conduct all those interview, everything, so those trips are person trip. And during this study, we also, when we conduct the code and count, at the same time, we are not only just count the vehicles, we also observe how many people inside the vehicles. So we do have the occupancy of the rate for vehicles. So that will help us to convert the vehicle trip and personal trip, or from personal trip to vehicle trip. And also information also in the report.
Okay, great. Another question that's come in is, how can this methodology be used to predict trip generations in upcoming projects?
I think that's a very good question. So basically, I would say, just like in the past, and we follow earlier. That's one of the purpose I show you the NCHRP the procedures, how to conduct the internal trip capture calculation. And so here, with the revised table, so that revised table provide you more, in my opinion, it's more accurate estimation, because the previous one we got very limited of data. And so with this one, you still follow the similar process. And so you know your developments, and you also know different type of land use, and apply that revised table, and you can come out with the use that unconstrained internal trip capture table. So you'll be figure out how many trips from one you then use to the other, and eventually you will be able to figure out all the total trip, and also figure out the internal capture rates.
Okay, great. Well, that's all the questions that we have. Thank you, everyone, who asked questions. If you have any further questions, you're welcome to send us an email. We'll be glad to get back to you. As a reminder, on your screen, you'll see a survey. If you can take a moment to please fill that out and to just let us know what you thought of today's presentation. As a reminder, all of our webcasts are submitted for AICP maintenance credits. We'll be back in 2 weeks. The next webinar will be on using audience response to measure pedestrian education efforts, and that will be on October 30th. Thank you again, everyone. And thank you, Dr. Lin.
Thank you, everyone.